You won't believe what happened one Friday night at my office. It was something I never imagined could happen, something that still makes my heart race whenever I think about it. If you've ever been tempted by something you knew was wrong, then stay with me, this story will leave you speechless. It was late in the evening, and most of my coworkers had already left for the weekend. The office was quiet, except for the soft hum of the lights above me. I was still at my desk, finishing a report for my boss, Jonathan. He was a tall, confident man who always dressed sharply, and there was something about him that made people listen whenever he spoke. As I was about to pack up my things and go home, I heard his voice behind me. "Emily, do you have a minute?" he asked. His voice was calm, but there was something about it that made my stomach flutter. I turned around and saw him standing at my cubicle's entrance. His tie was slightly loose, and he had that easy smile that had always made my heart skip a beat. "Sure," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He stepped closer, and suddenly, the space between us felt too small. "I need your help with something," he said, his eyes locked onto mine. "It's important, and I think you're the only one who can do it." My heart started beating faster. Jonathan had always been kind to me, too kind. I had tried my best to ignore the way he made me feel, but in that moment, standing so close, it was impossible to pretend. "What do you need?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "I need you to stay late tonight," he said. "There's a project I'm working on, and I could really use your expertise." I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell him I had plans. But my lips wouldn't form the words. Instead, I nodded. "Okay," I whispered. Jonathan smiled, that same charming smile that always made me feel weak inside. "I knew I could count on you," he said. Then, he walked away, leaving me with a storm of emotions I couldn't explain. The hours passed slowly. The office grew darker and quieter until it was just the two of us. I tried to focus on my work, but my mind kept drifting back to Jonathan. There was something about the way he had looked at me, something I couldn't shake. Just after midnight, he returned to my desk, holding 2 cups of coffee. "I thought you might need this," he said, handing me one. Our fingers touched briefly, and a shiver ran down my spine. I swallowed hard, trying to push away the feelings rushing through me. "Thanks," I said softly. He pulled a chair next to mine and sat down. The warmth of his presence filled the small space. "You've been working hard," he said. "I appreciate it." I nodded, unable to meet his gaze. "It's no problem," I whispered, though my heart was pounding. We sat in silence for a moment, the tension between us thick like a storm about to break. Then, Jonathan took a deep breath and spoke. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you." I turned to look at him, my pulse quickening. "What is it?" He hesitated, then finally said, "I've always been drawn to you. There's something about you that I can't resist." His words sent a wave of heat through me. I wanted to tell him that this was wrong, that we were crossing a dangerous line. But the truth was, I had felt the same way for a long time. I had just been too scared to admit it. Jonathan reached out and touched my cheek, his fingers warm and gentle. My breath caught in my throat. I should have pulled away. I should have stopped him. But I didn't. Then, before I could say anything, his lips were on mine. The kiss was soft yet intense, sending a jolt of electricity through me. My hands found his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. In that moment, I forgot everything, the rules, the consequences. The fact that he was my boss. All I knew was how he made me feel. But as quickly as it started, the kiss ended. Jonathan pulled back, breathing hard, his eyes searching mine. "Emily," he whispered, "I don't want to push you into anything. But I needed you to know how I feel. I've been holding this in for too long." Tears stung my eyes as I struggled to find the right words. I wanted to tell him that I felt the same way, that I had been battling these emotions just as long as he had. But my mind was screaming at me to stop. "This is dangerous," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "If anyone finds out." "They won't," he interrupted. "This is just between us." I wanted to believe him, to trust that we could keep this a secret. But I knew it wasn't that simple. The world wasn't kind to people who crossed these lines. And the consequences could be devastating. Yet, as Jonathan kissed me again, all those thoughts disappeared. In that moment, nothing else mattered. The way he made me feel, the way his touch erased my fears, it was too powerful to resist. I knew it was a mistake. I knew we were playing with fire. But I let myself fall anyway. This story is a warning, a reminder of how easily emotions can blur the lines between what is right and what is wrong. It shows how desire can lead to choices we never thought we'd make, and how those choices can change everything. In the end, secrets have a way of coming to light, and forbidden love always comes with a price. But in that moment, I didn't care. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking confession stories.